Hello, my name is Travis Burke. Today I'm going to be giving my informative speech. The topic that I've chosen to inform you all on is the steps it takes to put together a wedding cake. But before we start, I'd like to ask you all, how are you doing today? There's the audience. Blah, blah. It's not 10 people, but improvise. So, alright, good. So, okay, now before we begin the steps, let me give you a few reasons why you should know how to make a wedding cake. Reasons to know why to make how and why to make a wedding cake. You save money at your wedding, I guess, so you don't have to buy some expensive cake. Gives you a little culinary experience if you don't know how to cook. If you know how to make a wedding cake, then you can make it almost any other cake. So that would help you out with birthdays and such as that. Okay, now we can move on to the steps into making the cake. Start off with the ingredients. You need a 6-inch cake, an 8-inch cake, and a 10-inch cake. You need 2 tablespoons of rum, 4 tablespoons of rum, and 6 tablespoons of rum for each of the layers. Apricot glaze, 3 to 4 tablespoons, 4 to 6 tablespoons, and 6 to 8 tablespoons for each of the layers. White marzipan, pink sugar paste, 500 grams packet royal icing sugar, white powder luster color, rose water, 6-inch round cake card, an 8-inch round cake card, and a 14-inch round cake card for each of the layers, and a spare cake drum. So step 1 is cut the top of the cake level, upturn it, and place 2 smaller cakes on the cake cards and the largest cake on the cake drum. The 2 smaller cakes should then be placed on the larger space cake drum. Spoon rum over the tops of the cake and leave it to soak and moisten. Warm glaze or jam, and then spread it evenly over the tops. Knead the marzipan until it is soft and mix it with the icing sugar, then spread it over the top of the cake. Make sure all the ingredients so far are evenly spread over the cake before moving on to the next step. So step 2, cut away the excess marzipan around the base of the cake and then use the icing smoother to rub the marzipan smooth around the edges of the cake. Step 3, knead the sugar paste to soften it and then roll it over the top of the cake and make sure the largest cake corners the top of the drum. Brush water over the top along with marzipan and lift the sugar paste over the cake and cover the same way for the marzipan. Rub the surface and make sure that there are no air bubbles. Step 4, for the largest cake, it's easier to use a turntable if you have one, and brush water over the top with marzipan after lifting the sugar paste over the cake, as in steps 1, 2, and 3. Press the sugar paste against the cake drum and then cut away any excess around the edges of the cake drum. Smooth and retrim if you need to. Step 5, now to make the template for the sides, wrap a piece of narrow baking parchment around the largest cake and then cut it so that it fits perfectly around the cake. Use a couple of pins to hold it in place around the cake, taking care only to stick the pins into the icing and not right into the cake. Use a scriber tool to mark dots and lines against the cake. Remove template and use it to mark the mid and top liners. Step 6, stack the cake with dowelings in the bottom and mid tiers, 4 pieces in each one, to support the weight of the tiers above. Insert dowel into the cake at the corner of the baking parchment until it touches the cake drum. Cut the dowel and 3 others to the same length and then insert them at the corners of the square template and remove the template. Step 7, spread some royal icing between the dowelings and then slide the next size tier off the spaced board and top, leaving it on the thin cake, and repeat stacking, placing the smallest cake on top. Step 8, cut the end of the piping bag, fit with the piping tube and fill it with royal icing. Pipe and make a snail trail border and a fine piped beading around the base of each cake to hide the joins. Step 9, pipe the dots over the alternative, mark holes, and then leave them to dry. Step 10, mix some of the luster color with the rose water and paint the dots over the snail trails. And step 11, use the royal icing on the back of the flowers to stick a flower over each alternative hole. Fill the posy pick with some of the pink sugar paste and press it centrally into the top tier. Press the wire flowers into the posy pick on the top tier so the wires go into the pick and not the cake. Use double-sided sticky tape or use glue stick to approach ribbon around the base of the cake drum. And that is how you make your very own wedding cake. I hope you all have learned a little something from the speech, and maybe now you can all make your own wedding cake. I want to thank you all for your time, and have a good day.